Hello students, this is Usha Sharma. In this video, we continue chapter 13, Mahatma Gandhi and the National Movement, 1931 to 1948. This is the last part of this chapter. In the previous video, we have learned about two important events, Dandi March and the Civil Disobedient Movement. In spite of a few shortcomings, the civil disobedient movement yielded good result. Because of the boycott of foreign cloths, the import of such cloth declined. Because of picketing at wine shops, the collection of government revenue was reduced. The Indians were permitted to make salt near the sea coast. An awakening was seen among the farmers, laborers, tribal peoples, and women. All these people had become an inseparable part of national movement. They were determined to attain freedom. Gandhi-Irvin Pact. In January 1931, Mahatma Gandhi was released from jail. After that, many meetings were held with the Viceroy and it culminated in the Gandhi-Irvin Pact. It was declared to call off civil disobedient movement, all prisoners who were put in jail without trial to be released and to allow salt manufacturing along the coast. Gandhiji represented the Congress at Second Round Table Conference at London. The first roundtable conference was held in London in November 1930, but it ended without any fruitful decision due to the absence of major Indian nationalist leaders. A second roundtable conference was held in London in the latter part of 1931. Gandhiji represented the Congress and claimed that his party represented India, but B.R. Ambedkar and Muslim League opposed that claim. The conference in London was inconclusive, so Gandhiji returned to India and restarted civil disobedient movement. Major events between 1935 and 45. The year 1935 saw the coming of the Government of India Act, which promised some form of representative government. In 1937, for the first time, elections were held on restricted franchise and Congress party held a majority in the legislature. It won the election in 8 out of 11 provinces. Look at the map, students. In the map, blue area shows the Congress winning territories. In 1939, World War II broke out and the Indian leaders agreed to support the British as long as they promised to grant Indian independence after the war. The offer was refused and in October 1939, Congress ministers resigned. In protest, a series of satyagraha were organized by the Congress to pressurize the British to promise the freedom once the war ended. In March 1940, Muslim League passed a resolution demanding and planning to create a separate nation for Muslims. In 1942, worried on the continuous spread of nationalist movement, Prime Minister of England, Winston Churchill, sent Sir Stafford Cripps to India to try to reach to a compromise with Gandhiji and the Congress. The Cripps mission failed as no agreement to grant independence to India could be made. After the failure of the Cripps mission, Mahatma Gandhi started Quit India movement in August 1942. It was a third major movement against the British rule. Gandhiji and other important leaders were arrested and jailed. The movement went into the hands of younger leaders They organized strikes and acts of destruction all over the country. Particularly active in the underground resistance were socialist members of the Congress such as Jai Prakash Narayan. Independent governments were proclaimed in several districts such as Satara in the west and Midnapur in the east. Quit India was genuinely a mass movement bringing in to its ambit hundreds of thousands of ordinary Indians. It especially energized the youth who in very large numbers left their colleges to go to jail. In 1943, some of the younger leaders in the Satara district of Maharashtra set up parallel government with volunteer corps and village units. They ran people's court and organized constructive work. Major developments in the year 1945 to 47. In 1945, the Labour government came to power in Britain. It was committed for Indian independence. In India, the Viceroy Lord Wavell negotiated with the Congress and the Muslim League. Early in 1946, the provincial legislative elections were held in which the Congress won the general and League won reserved constituencies. A cabinet mission was sent to the summer of 1946 failed to make consensus between Congress and League. Jinnah called for a direct action day to force the League's demand for Pakistan on 16 August 1946, leading to bloody riots in many parts of India. In February 1947, Lord Mountbatten, appointed as Viceroy, he too held inconclusive talks and he announced that India would be freed but also divided. The formal transfer of power was fixed for 15th August. The last heroic days. Mahatma Gandhi refused to take part in the Independence Day celebrations in Delhi on 15th August 1947. He was in Calcutta. He did not attend any function or hoist a flag in Calcutta either. The freedom he had struggled so long for had come at an unacceptable price with a nation divided. Gandhiji marked the day with a 24-hour fast. Gandhiji went around hospitals and religious camps giving consolation to distressed people. Gandhiji had fought a lifelong battle for a free and united India. When the country was divided, he urged that the two parts respect and befriend one another. On 30 January 1948, Gandhiji was shot dead by Nathuram Godse, who had denounced Gandhiji as an appeaser of Muslims. There are different kinds of sources that can be used to reconstruct the political career of Gandhiji and the history of the national movement, like as personal letters, speech, autobiography, and newspapers. First, public voice and private script. One important source is the writings and speeches of Mahatma Gandhi and his contemporaries, including both his associates and his political advisories. Out of those, a distinction is to be made which were for the public and which not. It helped to hear his public voice. Private letters gave a glimpse of his private thoughts. Many letters are written to individuals and are therefore personal, but they are also meant for the public. The language of the letters is often shaped by the awareness that they may one day be published. Mahatma Gandhi published letters written by others to him in his journal Harijan. Nehru edited a collection of letters written to him and published a bunch of old letters. Second, autobiographies give us an account of the past that is often rich in human detail. These are written often from memory, what the author could recollect, what he thought to write, which was important for him but not for all. In autobiographies, a person represents himself in a way he wants to be seen. But here again, we have to be careful of the way we read and interpret autobiographies. Writing an autobiography is a way of framing a picture about oneself. So in reading these accounts, we have to try and see what the author does not tell us. We need to understand the reasons for that silence, those willful or unwitting acts of forgetting, the personal reasons why he chose to omit some fact and publish others. Third, government records, police diaries. Another vital source is government record. For the colonial rulers kept close tabs on those they regarded as critical of the government. The letters and reports written by the policemen and other officials were secret at that time, but now can be accessed in archives. Fortnightly reports prepared by Home Department based on police information. For example, Home Department was unwilling to accept that Gandhiji's action had worked any enthusiastic response from the public. Dandi March was seen as a drama, an antic, a desperate attempt to mobilize people. Last, newspapers. Newspapers published in English and different Indian languages tracked Mahatma Gandhi's movement and reported on his activities. They represented ordinary Indian thoughts. Newspaper accounts, however, should not be seen as unprejudiced people who had their own political opinions and world view published them. These ideas shaped what was published and the way events were reported. I hope you understand this chapter very well. Thank you.